Yo, what's going down, Green Screen Entertainment fans? Your homie Jay Green, back right now with my thoughts and feelings on the brand new sequel, kind of a reboot, but it's in the same universe, whatever. Liam Neeson, Naked Gun. Now this movie stars Liam Neeson, Casey from Baywatch, Danny Houston, and Paul Walter Hauser. Now I especially want to highlight that this movie was directed by Akiva Schaffer. He also has writing credits along with David Goyer, Doug Mand, and there's also 3 others that are on the writing credits as well, Jim, David, and this guy Jerry. Now, the writing, yes, it's great, but I really wanted to highlight the direction because, again, if you understand comedy, and I like to think that I do, I will tell you this, that timing is everything. So it's one thing to have some funny jokes. We've seen movies that have things that are funny in them, but for whatever reason, we don't laugh. It might have to do with the person's delivery, the angle of the camera, how they set the joke up, how they execute the timing of what was said maybe or what was done, and the facial expression of someone else. All those things go into it. If you're very familiar with old school spoof movies, there's always something to see and to laugh at, or to hear and to laugh at. Whether it's someone's voice in the background saying something snarky to one of the characters about something that they just did. Maybe it's how a character responds to someone else saying something that's realistic or unrealistic, or they respond with a realistic response, not understanding the actual meaning of what that person was asking based on tonality or phrasing, but we know what it means to get all those angles and all the right timing dialed in throughout the entire film and all of the things that are happening in the entire frame. Yo, that takes talent, and I gotta give mad props to Akiva Schaffer for that. Now, without wasting any time, this movie was great. I loved it, and I was laughing my ass off like throughout pretty much the entire film. Honestly, this movie to me brings spoof movies back to greatness. Now, if you haven't been paying attention, you probably don't understand what I mean by that. You see, back in the day, we used to get great spoof movies. Think of something in the lines of a Police Academy, Robin Hood Men in Tights, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, and the first and second Scary Movies. And the list can go on and on and on. However, at a period of time, those movies that you can consider either tongue-in-cheek, contemporary satire, the type of films that would hold a mirror up to who we are as people, or straight-up spoof comedies, eventually got to a point with Scary Movie 1 and 2, where those properties were so big, they got taken from the Wayans brothers and then ran into the gutter with Scary Movie 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, and then all of a sudden they started making movie this, movie that. Remember back in the early 2000s when they had teen movie, superhero movie, and those movies basically ran that genre of film into the ground so much so that you could never really do it. Another great thing that I think that this movie is also doing is bringing back the opportunity for comedy to just be comedy. If it's funny, let it fly. No malicious intent intended, of course.
I don't give a fuck. Whatever the fuck make the people laugh, say that shit. I said, do the people laugh when you say what you say? I said, yes. He said, do you get paid? I said, yes. He said, well, tell Bill. I said, have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
And we definitely got away from that, and you know I ain't lying. I've heard people have conversations saying that they don't think that there could ever be another Office because of the way that the Office was. If you imagine some of those first episodes and the things that they were talking about, a lot of people be like, you couldn't make that show today. Look at a great classic film like Tropic Thunder. That's one of my favorite comedies of all time because of how hard in the paint that movie goes. A lot of people will be like, couldn't make that movie today. There's so many films, so many comedies that came out in the early 2000s and before, right, that rode that line, that you didn't know where they were going to go, and they went there, and it was great. Spoof movies of old, parodies, satires, things like that back in the day, they rode that line as well. Never malicious, but all in good fun and so hilarious. And I feel like that's what this Naked Gun does. Liam Neeson was phenomenal. A movie like this does not work without someone the likings of a Leslie Nielsen, like in the original Naked Gun, and Liam Neeson is that guy. If you've seen certain videos on YouTube, you'll know that Liam Neeson is amazing at that deadpan, dry delivery, but he's saying some truly funny-ish, and that's why he works so well in this movie. I also thought that it was dope that they put Pam Anderson in this film. Not just because who's not a Pam Anderson fan, she's been around for a cool minute, but because of the fact is with her acting caliber and her acting qualities in a movie that is basically like a spoof and a parody, and in this movie, definitely a satire of the world we live in today. And the fact that the original Naked Gun and this Naked Gun kind of fall into that noir, idealistic, romantic, lone detective type old school film, her acting caliber and the way that she was able to kind of play off of Liam Neeson in almost a soap opera type way was perfect. Perfect. Their chemistry was dope. Everybody's chemistry in this film was dope in the sense that they all played very well off each other, so all the jokes hit. Now, I will say, toward the end of the film, it falls off just a little bit, but that's only because there's a few kind of like formulaic ways that they bring about certain moments in time where they're getting like a continuous like 5-minute laugh from everybody. And me being a huge movie fan and a huge comedy fan of movies like this from back in the day, you can kind of see that formula coming after a while. And then also at the same time, they're trying to get the story to go to where the story needs to go and bring it up to that conclusion. So you're gonna get some fall off of that laughter. But for sure, from like the very beginning until the end, it is practically nonstop laughter, and these jokes hit hard. And the best jokes are the ones when they do the best at setting up an assumption and then shattering that assumption. And the Naked Gun movies and movies like this from back in the day are phenomenal at that. And we've definitely been missing that in the cinema. It was so fun watching this with a live crowd. I went to a local theater right down the street. It was, I would say, halfway packed in the theater, but everybody was just dying. It was such a fun time. The fact that this movie's making me feel like I'm watching those spoof movies of old in today's time and not really holding too many punches when it comes to clapping back at some of the powers that be in our world today, but not like really pointing the finger, but it's a satire. It's just so wonderful, so perfect. Y'all gotta see this one in the theater with a crowd of people. Don't sleep on it. I'm telling y'all, Naked Gun. I'm telling y'all, Naked Gun, hilarious. Now, I don't really want to give the plot away to this film because of the fact is that a spoof movie is really supposed to take everything from minute 1 all the way to the end. And if I give you any like plot or synopsis of what's going on, that's going to spoil things that you find out about some of the people in this film. Just know that it starts off with a plot device, okay? And it is very well carried throughout the entire film. And the way that this movie actually pays homage to certain spy thrillers and stuff like that by doing kind of lightweight parodies of them in this film had me on my ass, but it was fly to kind of see those spy thriller stories and elements all put into this movie for them to do the spoof of it, right? And still play through like pretty smooth as a story with laughs along the way. So I don't want to give too much away about this movie. I'm just going to say that this movie was phenomenal. I feel like it's bringing back the spoof movie. I heard that the Wayans brothers are coming back with another scary movie later on in the year that they're doing. So I'm kind of excited about that. And if it hits, that's 2 spoof movies in 1 year. And then, like I said, I felt really great about Happy Gilmore 2 and kind of keeping that vibe of the 90s and just being stupid and silly. So if you can put smart, funny jokes that you do not see coming on a cerebral level and some slapstick comedy, you won me over, and that's exactly what this movie did. Yo, I highly suggest that y'all go check this one out in the theater with a crowd of people because laughter breeds laughter, and if all of y'all are laughing, you're gonna feel really great when you leave, I promise you that. Yo, I hope I gave you enough little insight to want to check this movie out. Your homie, Jay Green, I'm out.